Hey everyone, welcome. Today, we're going to talk about a skill that is, honestly, a total game changer. We're going to dive into how you take a boring old spreadsheet, just a wall of numbers, and turn it into a story. A story that actually makes people sit up and listen, and more importantly, make a decision. This isn't just about making pretty charts. This is about influence, and getting this right can seriously shape your career.
And look, this is exactly why this is so important. A bad visualization isn't just kind of useless, it can be actively harmful. I mean, we're talking about something that can lead your team down a completely wrong path, get a project totally derailed, or, worst of all, convince leadership to make a really bad call. Seriously, the stakes here are way higher than most people think.
All right, so let's get practical. Picture this. This table right here, it just lands on your desk. You're working for some e-commerce company, and this is what you've got. And yeah, it's all in there. Sales, profit, different regions, customer info. But let's be real. Right now, it's just a wall of numbers. It's not telling you anything. There's no story here, yet.
So you're staring at this spreadsheet, and here's the big question, the one every single analyst faces. Now what? How do you actually get from this ocean of data to a real insight, something someone can actually do something with? How do you make the numbers talk?
Okay, first section. Choosing the right chart. This is all about matching the visual to the question. It's not just about making something look flashy, it's about picking the right chart for the right question. Let's break down a few of the most common scenarios.
So let's start with maybe the most basic thing we do with data, comparing stuff. Let's say our goal is simply to show a comparison between different categories. Simple question, right? Like, which of our sales regions is bringing in the most cash? And here we go, a classic showdown. On the left, you've got a simple, clean bar chart. It just works. Why? Because our brains are fantastic at comparing lengths. You can see instantly who the winner is. But then, on the right, we have the dreaded 3D pie chart. Oh man, this thing is a classic mistake. The 3D effect totally distorts the size of the slices, and our brains are just awful at comparing angles and areas. It's confusing. So pro tip, if you're comparing categories, just use a bar chart, please. All right, next up, what if our goal is to show trends over time? This isn't about comparing static things anymore. This is about seeing how something changes. Are we going up, down, sideways? It's all about that momentum. When it comes to trends, the line chart is your absolute best friend. It's clean, it's simple, and it clearly shows the journey of your data. But check out the chart on the right. This is the dual y-axis chart, and it is a trap. By slapping two totally different scales on the same chart, you can make it look like two things are related when they're not. It's super misleading, and honestly, it's a pretty dangerous way to show data. Okay, new scenario. What if your goal is to show the relationship between two different things? You're not just tracking one metric, you're trying to see if there's a connection. You know that classic question, if we pump more money into ads, do we actually see more revenue come in? Is there a correlation? For this kind of question, the scatter plot is your hero. Look at the one on the left. It's so clean. Each dot is a data point, and you can immediately see that upward trend, that positive relationship. Now, look at the one on the right. Yikes. This is what the experts call chart junk. The creator tried to get fancy, and the main point just gets lost in the noise. There's a great concept called the data-to-ink ratio. Basically, you want most of the ink on your chart to be showing actual data, not just decoration. The one on the right, it fails that test big time. Okay, so we've got our building blocks, our bar charts, our line charts. The next level is to bring them all together into a dashboard. This is where we create a single, consolidated view of what's happening, and for our walkthrough, let's pretend we're building this out in a tool like Tableau. So what even is a dashboard, really? Well, the simplest way to think about it is it's a tool, usually just one screen, that pulls together all your most important info in one place. You can track things, analyze them, and see the big picture at a glance. It's not just a boring, static report. A good dashboard is interactive, something you can explore. When you're building a dashboard, there's a logic to it. You don't just randomly throw charts on a page. So for our e-commerce dashboard, here's how we do it. Step 1, we put our main KPI, total sales, right in the top left. Step 2, we add our sales over time line chart. Step 3, our bar chart for sales by region. And step 4, a donut chart for customer segments. Now, the layout here is so important. We're arranging this in what's called a Z pattern, because that's how our eyes naturally scan a screen. That means your single most important piece of information has to go in that top left corner. It's the first thing anyone will see. And this all feeds into what I call the 5-second rule.
It's simple. If someone, especially a busy executive, can't look at your dashboard and get the main point in 5 seconds or less, it's failed. It's just too complicated. Clarity and speed are absolutely everything. Okay, so you've built this beautiful, clear dashboard. You're done, right? Nope, not even close. That's only half the job. Now you have to actually present your findings. You have to take these visuals and weave them into a story, a narrative that actually gets people to do something. This is where you go from analyst to influencer.
And to do that, we're going to use an amazing framework called the pyramid principle. The idea is so simple, but it is incredibly powerful, especially for busy leaders. Here it is. Start with the answer first. That's it. Don't make them wait for the big reveal at the end. Lead with your conclusion. People call it BLUF, which stands for bottom line up front.
So here's what that structure looks like. At the very top of the pyramid, step 1, you have your main point, your big recommendation. Then, step 2, right below that, you have your key supporting arguments. And then, at the bottom, step 3, that's where you have all your data, all the facts from your charts that back everything up. You start at the top and work your way down.
So let me show you what not to do. This is the bottom-up approach, and it's terrible. It sounds like this. First, I analyzed the sales data from Q1. We saw sales of $250K in the East, and then $150K in the West. And then the customer segment data shows corporate clients grew by 3%. You see, it's a total data dump. The person listening is just sitting there thinking, get to the point, so what?
Okay, now let's flip it and use the pyramid principle. Listen to the difference. My recommendation is that we need to reallocate our marketing spend to the East region. Boom, right there, that's the answer. And then you immediately follow with the why. This is because the East drove 60% of our sales last quarter, and it's growing twice as fast as any other region. See? It's direct, it's clear, and most importantly, it's actionable.
All right, for this last part, we're going to flip the script. So far, we've been the creators. Now we're going to be the critics, because learning how to spot a bad or misleading visualization is just as important as knowing how to make a good one. It's time for a little challenge.
All right, have a look at this chart. What's wrong with this picture? I mean, at first glance, it looks like organic search traffic is just destroying the competition, right? It looks massive. But is that what's really going on here? Is the visual telling the truth?
To figure this out, there's a fantastic little tool we can use. It's called Kaiser Fung's Junk Charts Trifecta Checkup. I know, it's a mouthful, but it's just a super simple 3-question framework that helps you evaluate any chart you see.
Let's run this chart through the checkup. Question 1. What's the practical question? Simple enough. Which traffic source is giving us the best results? Okay. Question 2. What does the data actually say? Well, the numbers show organic search is only a little bit ahead of social media. It's close. But now for question 3, what does the visual say? The visual is screaming that organic is miles ahead. So you see the problem. The visual is completely distorting what the data says. And the reason is a classic trick. The y-axis doesn't start at 0. By truncating the axis, it makes tiny differences look like massive gaps. This chart totally fails the checkup. And that really brings us to the core of it all. Your data is always telling a story. The big question you have to ask yourself is, are you telling the right one? As the person presenting the data, your job, your responsibility is to tell a story that's not just compelling, but also true, one that's clear and one that actually helps people make smarter decisions. Thanks for joining me.